Breaking news first at 4. Michigan just reported its highest number of daily COVID cases ever. Dr. Frank McGeorge with what this should mean for you. Plus, Paul with our weather.
Yeah, hey, Rhonda. We started the week with storms on Monday and Tuesday. Now the third storm is right here coming in tonight, but this is the least impactful one of the week. The one coming this weekend is the most impactful. We'll talk about both of these coming up.
All right, Paul. Also, a new screening tool designed to help spot memory problems months earlier. How it works and what makes this test different.
Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
And that breaking news first at 4, we have been talking about this latest surge of COVID cases, and now we have some troubling perspective on just how bad it really is. Michigan has just set a record for the highest number of daily cases since the start of the pandemic. The state is reporting 25,858 new cases over the past 2 days. That's an average of nearly 13,000 cases per day. It's 3,000 more than the previous record of more than 9,700 cases, and that was set back in November of 2020 when the entire state went back on lockdown. In the past 2 days, we have lost another 338 lives. Since the start of the pandemic, we have lost nearly 27,000 Michiganders. Dr. Frank McGeorge explains why today's numbers are so high.
The increase in cases that have occurred over the last couple of days is absolutely no surprise. The fact is, the reporting over the recent holiday was low. On top of that, in the hospital, I know I have seen tons and tons of COVID. Our hospital numbers are outrageously off the charts. And so it was really just a matter of playing catch up. The numbers that we're seeing today are just catching up with what we know has been going on over the last couple of weeks.
And coming up at 5, Dr. McGeorge is going to explain why he thinks this is just the start of the increase in cases in Michigan. Today also marks 2 years since the World Health Organization was first alerted about this outbreak in Wuhan, China, and that would change our lives for the last couple of years. 2 years later, COVID is spreading at a rapid pace across the United States. Of course, as we've been telling you here in Michigan, Jason Colthorpe joins us now in the newsroom following these new developments and a new recommendation about how we should and shouldn't celebrate the new year.
Yeah, Rhonda, the U.S. is now surpassing its record for daily COVID cases, averaging more than 260,000. The Omicron variant quickly became the dominant strain in the country, but the CDC is significantly revising its estimate about how widespread it is. The agency now says the variant accounts for about 60% of new cases, down from the previous estimate of 73%. The variant has sparked a surge in testing, but the FDA now warns a rapid test might not be your best bet. A study conducted with researchers at the National Institute for Health found rapid tests might be less sensitive to detect the highly contagious variant immediately after infection. They say it could be a false negative, and a PCR is your better option. In a briefing with the White House response team, Dr. Anthony Fauci was asked about New Year's Eve celebrations. Here's what he had to say on that.
You are in a situation with a family setting in your home with family, parents, children, grandparents, and everyone is vaccinated and boosted. Although the risk is never zero in anything, the risk is low enough that we feel you should continue to go through with those plans. If your plans are to go to a 40 to 50 person New Year's Eve party with all the bells and whistles and everybody hugging and kissing and wishing each other a happy new year, I would strongly recommend that this year we do not do that.
Also today, the head of the CDC defended the agency's decision to lower the isolation period to 5 days. Dr. Rochelle Walensky says the science shows a person is most likely to spread the virus in the 2 days before they have symptoms and the 3 days after. She says after that, about 90% of the transmission potential is behind you. So that's the reasoning there. Rhonda, back to you.
All right, Jason, thank you. A new report estimates just how much money was sent to fraudsters during the pandemic by the state's unemployment insurance agency. And according to this report by Deloitte, the agency paid about $8.5 billion in fraudulent benefit claims from March of 2020 to September of 2021. The figure report, it comes more than a year after the agency expected fraud losses in the hundreds of millions. Auditors have since reported that the agency improperly paid $3.9 billion to claimants who were later deemed ineligible. We're getting an update from police on a deadly shooting that happened in Lincoln Park. It happened around 9 o'clock on Tuesday night on Southfield Road near Applewood. And police are telling us that 2 people were shot. A 39-year-old from River Rouge died at the scene. The second victim is in serious condition. The circumstances around the shooting are still under investigation, but police believe that the victims were targeted. No word yet on any arrests. And we do want to turn our attention now to the weather. We've had some bouts of snow this week. Looks like more is on the way. And Paul, I'm very interested to hear what you have to say about the weekend, too.
Yes, we'll talk about that in about 10-15 minutes. But right now, let's take care of the now, which is we are dry. But then here you see storm number 3 this week is down to the southwest. And if you look at the movement, everything is moving. Watch. It's moving just like this. So that band you see right there is going to pass across the Saginaw Valley, maybe the Northern Thumb. It's this stuff right here that's going to pass over much of southeast Michigan. That's very light stuff. We're talking about perhaps a dusting overnight. And then we got to talk about that weekend storm. But you can see all the clouds over us now in this live shot from Mount Clemens. Temperatures right now generally mid to upper 30s, and the wind is under 10 miles per hour, so really not a bad day. Just we'd love to have some sunshine. So through the evening hours, very slow drop in temperature, not very quick of a drop. We'll stay cloudy and dry, but it's after midnight that those flakes move in. Be back in just a few minutes to talk more about that weekend storm, Rhonda.
All right. Thank you, Paul. President Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin will speak tomorrow as tensions are growing over Ukraine. U.S. and Western allies have been keeping a close eye on the buildup of Russian troops near the border of Ukraine. It's fueling fears that Moscow is preparing to invade the country. The State Department is reiterating the United States' support for Ukraine's independence. Putin is stepping up demands for security guarantees in Eastern Europe. President Biden and Putin are expected to talk about a range of topics. Flags are flying at half-staff at the U.S. Capitol right now in honor of former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. Harry Reid died yesterday after a 4-year battle with pancreatic cancer. He served as Senator of Nevada for 30 years until his retirement in 2016. He led the Senate under 2 presidents, George W. Bush and Barack Obama. Reid was 82 years old. There continues to be travel trouble at airports all across the country. According to the website FlightAware, there have been 850 flight cancellations today alone, and 9 of them are right here at Metro Airport. Thousands of flights around the world have been called off this week as well, as the Omicron variant, staff shortages, and weather has been impacting operations at the airlines. One woman was on her way to Iceland when she tested positive for COVID on the flight.
I started having a severe sore throat. And so I just took my rapid test and I brought it into the bathroom, and within what felt like 2 seconds, there were 2 lines.
This woman decided to isolate right there on the airplane in the airplane bathroom for the remainder of the flight for 4 hours. Now to jury watch and 2 high-profile trials underway across the country. Now, jury deliberations for the fate of Ghislaine Maxwell the jurors were told that they would have to work through the New Year's holiday. If they cannot come to a verdict, it's likely a sign that they are not close to one. Today, the jury asked for transcripts for 5 trial witnesses. They're deciding whether Maxwell recruited and groomed teenage girls for the late Jeffrey Epstein for sexually abuse. Jurors began a 6th day of deliberations in the trial of the former Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes. Holmes is facing 11 criminal charges. She's accused of duping investors and patients by claiming that her company's blood testing technology was a medical breakthrough when it was prone to major errors. Holmes faces 20 years in prison, up to 20 years if she's convicted. Millions of Americans are living with Alzheimer's disease, and doctors say that early detection and treatment is critical to slowing cognitive decline, and a new tool may be able to help. Our Dr. Frank McGeorge is here with a closer look at how it works.
The goal of this new screening tool is to identify memory problems months sooner than other tests. It was inspired by a doctor's desire to help his patients more effectively. At Ohio State Center for Cognitive and Memory Disorders, cognitive neurologist Dr. Douglas Shari started noticing something in his patient's treatment.
We were missing the boat and we weren't identifying people early enough.
The earlier the diagnosis, the sooner the treatment. It's key to slowing cognitive decline.
That's why Shari developed the SAGE test.
The main difference between this and other tests is that it's self-administered.
The test can be taken at home at the first sign of memory impairment, so changes can be monitored over time. While it doesn't diagnose Alzheimer's, Shari says it helps to identify early symptoms. He's lead author of a study published in the journal Alzheimer's Research and Therapy. It followed more than 600 patients over 8 years.
It seems to pick up on people that are going to eventually develop dementia at least 6 months sooner than the most typical test out there.
It's up to a doctor to make a diagnosis based on cognitive changes in family history, but identifying a potential progression to dementia could allow for earlier treatment.
My hope for this test is that more people will be identified, diagnosed, and treated appropriately.
Researchers say anytime you or a family member notices a change in your brain function or personality, you should take a screening test. It's also important to talk to your doctor right away because those changes can be a warning sign of other health problems as well. I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge, Good Health, Local 4.